My portfolio is worth 1/10,000th of what it used to be.
Sorry.
No need to apologize. I'm grateful, because could you imagine how much worse the crypto crash would be if we didn't have Biden?
You look really hungry.
Yeah, could you imagine how much worse the food shortages would be if we didn't have Biden?
I mean, objectively, it's pretty bad. Look at you. You're wearing a tattered shirt.
Oh, that's nothing. I ordered a new one last year. It's scheduled to arrive in the next 18 months. Supply chain issues. Could you imagine how much worse the supply chain issues would be if we didn't have Biden?
I could imagine they'd be very different.
Exactly. That's why we need to all band together and support him during this critical time when he's losing support for some reason.
Because if we don't get him reelected in 2024,
things will be different.
Yeah, that would be...
Well, hey, I gotta run home and push my car to pick my kids up from school. They're due back from their field trip to a drag show.
Well, technically, the economy is booming, as the corporate media and the Biden administration is claiming it is, but more of a booming and exploding in a destructive way, leaving a wrath of just total obliteration of people's personal savings and livelihoods. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Ukradowski here of wearechange.org, and there is a lot of absolutely crazy news to get into today, especially when it comes to the topics of politicians trying to usurp due process even more here in the United States. This as we have new bombshell information coming out of Texas that directly contradicts the official story, as Joe Rogan now is making a very important stance for people's civil liberties, their human rights, all as some Republican senators are planning to, of course, lie through their teeth and screw over the American public. What's going on here? We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more. Lots of craziness to discuss. And before we get into that, plus all the important news updates for today, the video that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is a small clip from a larger video from Awaken with JP. He does absolutely incredible work that is right on the nose, is worth following and subscribing to. The link to his channel is down below so you could watch the full video. Truly prophetic, satirical work that is becoming more of a reality every single day. And yes, this was an actual real New York Times article just a few weeks ago that was released in May of this year, claiming absolutely the U.S. economy is booming. Those were the same claims made by, of course, the Biden administration. And I think it's pretty fair to say it's not. And it's not going to be booming anytime soon, as of course we are facing major significant problems, especially when it comes to our energy sector, as perfectly represented by the current situation in Germany, where the government there shut down its remaining nuclear power plants. The government there claimed that they're going to be using 100% of renewable energy by 2035, and now they're becoming dependent on Russian natural gas, as these energy policies are making them face a, quote, virtually unavoidable recession, as they are literally planning to fire up their coal stations, as of course the price of energy going up correlates with the price of everything else going up. And it's not like we didn't know this. The former president of the United States, which, you know, we're critical of, actually called this out in a speech to the United Nations a few years ago, very prophetically, where people were making fun of him for these comments, as he very accurately described how Germany will become dependent on Russian energy and how they're destroying their economy with these green new policies that, of course, Donald Trump was attacked for criticizing. Now, Germany is just one example of a failed energy policy here, as, of course, the United States has instituted similar policies which have made the price of energy go up. The price of energy goes up. The price of everything goes up, as even Elon Musk just shared prices per gallon of gas going for $7.11 at a local 7-Eleven. This as some gas stations have even run out of gas in California, as of course this is just the beginning of many problems our way, which are economically tangled with our energy policies that have been instituted by this Biden administration, which has essentially shot itself in its own foot. This as the squeeze is being felt all around, and the average Joe, the poorest people of this world, are going to be paying for the consequences of this Build Back Better Great Reset green energy policy switch, which the Biden administration has called a transition that it is deliberately implementing. In Dallas, Texas, there was a major demonstration with hundreds of pilots from Southwest that lined up complaining about poor staffing, long hours of work, and chaos at the airports. This once again being another major consequence of the larger inflation, of the larger squeezing of the American public being done by the central controllers and bankers, who of course have instituted policies that are wrecking this economy. Netflix, by the way, has been laying off employees. They're bracing to lay off even more. This as they have even told their employees, if you're woke and you don't like what we're doing, that you could just simply walk away from the company, which some employees have actually done. And as this economic havoc that they told you wasn't happening, that they told you wasn't real, that they told you was only transitory, is unavoidable, the Biden administration is shifting strategies along with the corporate media from saying it doesn't exist to, hey, everyone else is responsible but me. It's the former president. It's the president of Russia. It's a sickness. And, of course, most people aren't buying those larger propaganda efforts. As according to a new Rasmussen poll, only 11% of Americans believe that Putin is to blame for record high gas prices. As, of course, these gas prices and inflation have been going up dramatically way before the conflict in Ukraine. This as the Biden administration keeps screaming about the Putin price hike, which, again, doesn't explain what's really happening here. This as the disconnect between what is deemed corporate news and reality is becoming more severe by the day, as even The Hill is reporting on a new major study that is showing how the media narrative, the disillusioned PR talking points of journalists, couldn't be more further from the reality of what the general public is seeing, feeling, and understanding. This according to the latest Pew Research, and that is absolutely true, and one of the reasons why independent media has been doing so well, mainly because we don't focus on delusion. We don't focus on PR, carefully curated talking points pushing an agenda or a narrative. We care more about actually telling you what's really going on. This is why our ability to truly tell you what's going on has been limited on big tech social media platforms, and why we have created our own platform that is growing and thriving. We have a lot of members, a lot of people participating in our forums, specifically on LukeUncensored.com, only available for members. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? Sign up right now, and you get an incredible amount of value presented to you that is strived towards helping you during these difficult times. 3 masterclasses about survival, traveling, online, publishing videos almost every single day. By the way, we're going to be doing another video right after this one that you could watch right now exclusively on LukeUncensored.com, where we are going to be talking about this particular video, some very spicy and juicy topics that are not the soy-based, seed and vegetable oil-filled fake filet mignons, but we're going to be talking about issues that actually matter, that actually have a huge psychological effect on you, especially when it comes to the larger insecurities with world populations and food coming our way. Again, lots of crazy stuff in this world. Some of it we can't talk about on this particular broadcast, but we could do whatever we want on our platform, and you enable that. And members have been going through the roof, all on LukeUncensored.com. See you there later on today for a more very serious, honest discussion. Now, just a few days ago, there was a tragic event in Texas that has created this larger call for people to be disarmed and for people to lose not only their constitutional rights, but also their human rights. We're talking about principles about due process, the ability to protect yourself and your family. All of that is on the line because of an event that unfolded in a school in Texas, which politicians are using as a linchpin to call for these civil rights eroding measures. These events, of course, unfolded in Uvalde, Texas, where today we are learning that the school where this event took place will be demolished under the orders of the mayor there, who is also overseeing an extremely corrupt, pathetic, and disgusting local police department there that are currently involved in an active criminal cover-up of what actually happened there, since, again, we still don't know the details. We still don't know what happened here, as the authorities here were lying through their teeth. The local police department was lying through their teeth about what actually happened here. What are the details here? Well, the local police department also hired a private law firm fighting people from even finding out what happened here. Everything here stinks to high heaven, and almost every single day we find out about a new tragedy, a new way where the local police department intervened and caused more havoc traffic, more loss of life, and more suffering. The latest story that we're hearing about is, of course, one of the teachers that tragically lost her life during this event. Her name was Eva Morales. Her husband was a police officer. The school teacher here, when she was shot, when she was bleeding out, called her husband. The husband, of course, then tried to rescue his wife that was bleeding out. The husband arrived at the school where he was met by other police officers that held him down, detained him, and took away his firearm, allowing this tragic, horrible event to continue, which resulted in this husband, this police officer, losing his wife. Yes, you heard that correctly. Police officers stopped another police officer, held him physically down, took away his firearm, and made sure that he couldn't stop the tragic events of a lunatic shooting and hurting innocent people. The police officers literally committed an act that aided and abetted in this larger tragedy. And according to other officers from the state of Texas, all of this could have been stopped in 3 minutes. And it was not because of the actions of this man, District Police Chief Pete Arredondo, who, according to his own statements, just magically forgot that he was in charge of the situation and magically also just got rid of his 2 radios. Why did he do that? Why did he have officers stand down and do all of this? Well, of course, we still don't know. There's an active criminal cover-up happening right now. We are also getting reports that he was a supporter of Beto O'Rourke, a wannabe politician that, of course, does not believe in people's ability to defend themselves and is using this tragedy as a call to disarm people and get rid of their due process. Innocent people's ability to defend themselves. All of this making people believe that there's some sort of conspiracy here. And before even jumping to conclusions, show us the records. Show us the body cams. Show us the information that the police department are denying us. Hold these officers responsible. Put them on the stand. Let them testify under oath, since, of course, they've been lying through their teeth. And if you want to use this event to take away people's rights, we should at least fully understand this event, which we yet do not. The local police department there received hundreds of thousands of dollars when it came to training. They were well equipped, well funded, well trained, to the point where even days before this incident, they literally had a training exercise for this specific event. And you're telling me that they failed to act and do something, but the actions that they committed have led to more life loss here? Yeah, and you're going to be using this event in order to punish me and other law-abiding citizens? Yeah, no, thank you. And that's the stance made by a lot of individuals, including podcaster Joe Rogan, that just came out very boldly as a stand for people's ability to defend themselves. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing more cruel than politicians who are protected by private security with your tax dollars telling you that you cannot protect yourself against murderers and monsters who will always find a way to have a weapon. Now, the comments by Joe Rogan at this specific time are very important because they do play a role in the larger debate happening right now, in the larger push to destroy people's rights when it comes to this entire situation. In Canada, the government is using this situation, even though it didn't happen in Canada, as a way to take away people's ability to have pistols. They are ramming through legislation that would essentially criminalize law-abiding citizens, which the government of Canada admits would predominantly affect law-abiding citizens. Justin Trudeau made a statement a few days ago saying that Canadians do not have the right to self-defense, do not have a right to own a firearm, which, according to Joe Rogan, is an absolutely disgusting idea, and I would agree with him 100% on that. Rogan also talked about self-preservation when it comes to this particular topic, and when you look at the actions committed by the Canadian government, it is draconian, undemocratic, and will leave a whole bunch of people vulnerable to the whims of bad people and criminals that will always find a way to own a weapon, since, of course, they don't abide by the gun laws. Why would they? They're criminals. And for the government at this time to say, you don't need to defend yourself. You could depend on Officer Pete Arredondo, this half-sucked milk dud looking like Beto supporter who's going to be waiting outside, standing down, and preventing people from saving your life. Yes, essentially, the argument that governments are making right now is that only the police officer should be entrusted with the ability to defend themselves, and that to me is an absolutely ridiculous idea based off the facts that we know as of now from the events that unfolded in Texas that have started this larger conversation. And I think it's fair to say that the sentiment expressed by Rogan is expressed by a lot of individuals who are following this particular case, as essentially many politicians are arguing, I'm allowed to have a gun because I'm better than you. You are not allowed to because I said so. And that's not an argument at all. And with this, we also have to understand that there have been moves made in the U.S. Senate, particularly with some Republican senators that are pushing forward legislation that would erode due process, the Fourth and Fifth Amendment in this country, as right now there's a major push for red flag legislation to be implemented in the United States with support of some Republican senators that promised that they would never push for gun control, as now a lot of them, like Lindsey Graham, like Senator John Crone, are pushing for, as they are some of the people alleged to be supporting this. And as we wait for the full legislation, as we wait to find out what's happening here, when it comes to red flag laws, we have the corporate media saying that obviously disarming the populations without due process, obviously taking away people's firearms without a fair trial is the right thing to do, even though there's been states that have already implemented these laws that have led to tragedies. In Maryland and in other places all around the United States, a lot of people have already lost their lives because of this implementation of very vague rules and laws that, of course, will be used for political purposes. As, of course, under red flag laws, if someone suspects you of being a bad person, the police will come in and take away your firearms and then investigate you without probable cause. This, of course, will be abused by neighbors who don't like each other, spouses, co-workers who have problems with each other, and, of course, also most likely by criminals who want to disarm victims before they take advantage of them. What better way to make sure that the person you want to hurt can't fight than, of course, calling in a false red flag alert on them? And, of course, this system will be used and abused not only by fellow citizens, but also, of course, by governments that will be saying, hey, you posted a meme we don't like. Hey, you criticized a government policy that we don't like you criticizing. You're expressing a viewpoint that's not going along with the agenda and narrative. Well, maybe you're a danger to society and we have to take away your firearms. This is the essential slippery slope that is important to warn about, as, of course, this will lead to not only the erosion of human rights, but it will lead to more death and destruction, which I think at this moment in time should be prevented at all costs, especially in major American cities where crime has been surging with the approval of politicians literally cheering it on and bailing out individuals who have committed some of the worst crimes against innocent fellow civilians. The government has no interest in taking care of you. They have every interest in subjecting you and taking away your ability to exist and your civil rights, constitutional rights, and essentially your human rights. That's my perspective. If you think I'm wrong, which who knows, I might be. I expressed a lot of my opinions here. But if you disagreed with any of them, if you see things from a different light or perspective, I would love to see that. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think that might be. I'm here for a discussion. I'm here to broaden my perspective and open my mind. And the only way to do that is to be open to constructive criticism and other opposing viewpoints. And this is what I strive to do. And if you thought I did an okay job at expressing this viewpoint in a way that resonated with you, share this video with your friends and family members. It's more imperative than ever. Our numbers have been dramatically going down, especially with the more controversial topics that we have been talking about here on this particular topic. There's a clear correlation here. Once again, why we have LukeUncensored.com, and once again, why I more and more understand the move from Joe Rogan from this platform to, of course, a private platform like Spotify. So yeah, lots of crazy things happening out there in the digital world. I hope you guys are remaining safe and sane, and because you're still here with me, this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for a lot more here on wearechange.org.